Good morning, everybody. It is 8:30, so we are going to go ahead and get started. We do have a pretty packed schedule today. Oh, let me make sure that I know how to use these controls. Okay, so here's our agenda for today. So we are just going to jump in with our first topic today, which is our meal of the month. So our meal of the month this month goes to Nampa School District with these two beautiful trays. And they even came with some jokes. First one is, what does a cloud wear under its raincoat? Thunderwear. And why did the teacher go to the beach? To test the water. Okay, I will pass it off to Jax and he will talk to you guys about NSLP renewal.
Good morning, everyone. Next slide, Cambria. So NSLP renewal has opened. So instructions were sent and a broadcast email was sent on April 13th to the program contact for your individual sponsors. If you don't have the instructions by any chance, though, you can just go to section 4 of download forms and it is available there for you. Also, with those instructions, pay careful attention to them as there are steps that may address any questions that you might have. But if there are questions that come up past the instructions, just go ahead and contact the coordinator that is working with your packet or the NSLP team. Please note that the state agency representative that is assigned to your packet may have changed since last school year. For example, if you were working with Jamie Gibson, since she's no longer with us, your packet has been reassigned to one of the other coordinators. So if you have any questions about that, you can always reach out, but I know that we're going to be also contacting you all individually. Also, a side note is that if you're an RCCI or JDC, so a residential child care institution or juvenile detention center, your packets are now going to be with Kat Forsty, so you can contact her with any questions that you have for renewal. That applies to you. Okay, so now we're going to go over the PLE tool. You guys have probably seen an email or two that have gone out about that. So the PLE tool has been released, and this is also available in section 4 of download forms. So the new target weighted average price is $3.56 for a paid lunch price, and you are required to raise your prices for paid lunch by at least 10 cents. Also, make sure that you're talking to your business manager. If you're going anything above 5%, so increasing your paid lunch prices by anything more than 5%, you have to comply with Idaho Code 63-1311A. And then also, I want to let you guys know that your Excel may require an update for you guys. We've had a few people contact us with some questions about the PLE tool. So if you look over here on the right side of the screen, you can see that highlighted section where it comes out with the # name ? So if you're experiencing that, see if you're able to contact your IT department and see if there's any updates that you guys can get with Excel, because we have noted that that has made a difference for some people. If you still have some questions, though, just contact the NSLP team and we'll get with you guys and help you work through it. Also, one last note is that adult meal prices, the requirement is going to be $2.65 for breakfast and $4.70 for lunch. That is also included in the renewal instructions as well. Also, you guys have the choice of a PLE attestation this year. So USDA released a memo that advises that school food authorities can elect to not increase student paid lunch prices if they have a positive fund balance as of June 30th. So during the renewal process for school year 23 to 24, school food authorities with a positive or zero fund balance as of June 30th of 2022 may choose to be exempted from complying with the paid lunch equity provision. SFAs choosing this option must upload a copy of the completed attestation, which is found in section 4 of download forms as well, along with your guys' Fund 290 showing, or your nonprofit food service account showing a positive fund balance as of June 30th, 2022. So if you don't have access to this, definitely get in contact with your business managers and make sure that it is specific to June 30th of 2022. If you guys have any questions with this, please reach out. I would We do recommend that if you are going to be raising your prices at all, though, to go ahead and try doing the PLE tool for us.
Okay, now we will chat about after school snack program reviews. So we just want to remind everyone that if you have not completed your second review for after school snack, you should schedule it now, and it needs to be complete before school ends. And just a CEP reminder, if you are wanting to renew or start a new 4-year cycle, please upload all supporting documentation when you submit your renewal packet, and the state agency will validate this information before approving your packet for next year. So I'll hand it off to Sean, and she'll give you an update on the supply chain system or supply chain funds.
Thanks, Cambria. Good morning. I just wanted to remind everyone that those of you that have SCA funds remaining, to please contact me and let me know if you will be using them by September 30th. Any funds not drawn down by that date will be returned to USDA. So we want to make sure that the funds are distributed to those that need them, so that we can reallocate those to districts. The deadline to let us know is if you want your funds to keep your funding is May 19th. And reminder that the funds only need to be drawn down from the GRA by September 30th. They do not have to be expended by that date. The funds go into your food service account and need to be used for purchases of unprocessed or minimally processed domestic foods. So that's my reminder. So I'll turn it over to Pamela. Oh, Pamela's not here.
How about if I talk about the fresh fruit and vegetable grant application? This is Lynda. Hello, everyone. I just want to let you know that the school year 23-24 fresh fruit and vegetable grant application is open and available on the website. Part 1 and 2 are due by 5 p.m. our time, Boise time, on May 12th, 2023. Part 2 can be sent to the email on the screen. And one thing that I do want to point out, it's an elementary school operating the school lunch program, but we've reduced the percentage. It's no longer 50. It can be 40% of enrolled students eligible for free and reduced price meals, because we know that percentages have dropped this year. So make sure if you want to do it, complete an application and include a signed certification of support. I believe that's it for fresh fruit and vegetable. Nope, one more. 118 schools currently are operating. So if you want more information on fresh fruit and vegetable, visit the Idaho State Department of Education Child Nutrition website or look at the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Handbook. Thank you. Mary Ann.
Thanks, Lynda. Good morning, everyone. So this next few slides pertains to our SFSP and SSO sponsors for our summer 2023 summer meals program operations. So for the others, please hang tight and we'll revert back to the rest of the CNP topics. So just for our SFSP sponsors, just some reminders, please be sure to complete your SFSP renewal packet. It must be submitted by this Friday, April 28th. If you have any issues or if you feel like you're unable to meet this deadline, please be sure to contact me and we can work something out. And I know that Jax had mentioned earlier that you guys' NSLP renewal packet has opened up. But if you are an SFSP sponsor, please be sure to complete the SFSP packet first, since that is the most important packet gearing up for the summer. If you have submitted your SFSP renewal packet and it has been returned to you, what I've been doing is sending you an email of any updates or changes that is required. And I'm also copying and pasting that same information under your packet notes under your renewal packet. So if you didn't get a chance to see your email, please refer to your renewal packet under the section Application Packet Notes for Sponsor, so that you are aware of why your packet has been returned and what updates and changes needs to occur before you resubmit your packet. Another thing too, for our SFSP renewal packet sponsors, for your checklist summary documents, please be sure that the documents that you've uploaded actually gets attached before you submit your packet. I've received some emails that sponsors are unable to submit their packet while what's going on. And there's been a good handful where they thought they uploaded the checklist summary documents, but it was not showing at the bottom of their screen under this section. So that's always your first check is if there's no attachment on the bottom of the page, that's when you know that unfortunately those documents did not get uploaded. So just double check on that. And then a final reminder for the SFSP sponsors in regard to your health inspection reimbursement. For SFSP sponsors, they can request a reimbursement for the health inspection that they receive if the inspection occurs during SFSP operation. So for example, the 2 inspections that our SFSP sponsors received during the school year, that unfortunately is not allowable to receive a reimbursement because you had received that during your school year operation and not during your SFSP operation. So just a reminder for that, if any of you guys receive an inspection this summer during your SFSP operation, you may submit a reimbursement for that, and you can fill out the form that's available under the download forms in My Idaho CNP, or if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. Next slide. For our SSO sponsors, we have a few. So please be sure you guys are, I've already emailed you all, and you are good to go to complete your SSO site application under your NSLP renewal packet program year 22-23. Please be sure that you submit your documentation of site eligibility under the attachment list of your NSLP renewal packet. We do require that to provide documentation that your site is eligible. And then just a final reminder, you've also received this email, but prior to submitting your SSO application, please be sure to complete the 2023 Seamless Summer Option Training requirement. And again, if you have any question, we are doing a quick transition as far as coordinating the SSO program. I will be taking over the coordinating of that as opposed to Jen Butler, who has overseen that coordination the past couple of years. And so if you have any questions regarding SSO, please be sure to contact me, Marianne Leiby, and we'll definitely get you more information and get you set up or answer any questions that you have if you're wondering about the program. Next slide. So just a reminder for our SFSP and SSO sponsors, there are no nationwide waivers for summer 2023. I know that we are still feeling some after effects of COVID operations. And so it's always helpful to just to do a friendly reminder for everyone. So beginning summer 2023 for SFSP and SSO sponsors, we are reverting back to traditional or normal operations of these 2 summer meals program. Which is the operation we had done pre-pandemic. So just some reminders, there are no non-congregate feeding, no parent pickup, no multiple meals served in one distribution, and no area eligibility waiver for summer 2023 and moving forward. So if you have any questions in regard to that, definitely reach out to the state agency. Next slide. And just a final reminder for the SFSP and SSO sponsors, as many of you guys are probably aware, there was a new regulation that came down the pipeline from the fiscal year 2023 Consolidated Appropriation Act. It was released late in December, and it essentially establishes a rural non-congregate feeding. There's a lot of information that that has been provided to the state agency, but then we also still has a lot of questions regarding this new regulation. For example, this particular bullet point that you're seeing on your screen is it says limited to only rural areas with no congregate meal service. This has been shared with all of the SFSP sponsors during the training in March. And has been discussed. The state agency has been pretty transparent because it is an optional to opt in for this for summer 2023. As you guys can see in your screen, the state agency, because we received such a delayed guidance regarding this new regulation. And then when the guidance finally was, when we finally received the guidance, it just created additional questions and additional concerns to the state agency. And with the rollout of the summer meals program, gosh, we opened up the renewal packet in January. The first guidance that we had received regarding this new regulation was the day before our first day of training. And again, we still had some questions that have not been answered by USDA. And so with all of those factors playing into the role on whether we could successfully implement this regulation in summer 2023, as a state agency department, we just really didn't feel like we had enough information to implement that for summer 2023. So we have decided to not opt in for this new policy for summer 2023. But fear not, starting 2024, this is going to be a new regulation implemented in Idaho Summer Meals Program. So more information to come on this. We are thinking of just different ways on how to best implement this for our rural communities. So definitely stay tuned. But I do want to, again, just reiterate that for summer 2023, this new regulation is not implemented. So we are reverting back to traditional operation of the program. But we will begin this new policy regulation beginning summer 2024. So please keep an eye out for more information to come on that. And so with that, I will turn it into the next person for the topic. Oh, Ms. Kat. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Marianne. Cambria, there you go. Thank you. So just going to talk about the 3-month overbalance. Several of you got an email from me stating that you had an excess balance. We know a lot of that was due to the reimbursement this year. So just wanted to let you know that the corrective action plans are due and that you need to upload those in My Idaho CNP to clear the error. When you open your packet, you'll see that there is an error message letting you know. Please make sure that you're putting the upload in the financial report area. Also, capital expenditure request. If you're going to be putting in that you're needing new kitchen equipment, make sure if it's over $5,000 that you do indeed submit a capital expenditure request. Just putting it in your 3-month overbalance doesn't clear it. You still need to put in the request. And please make sure the capital expenditure request goes into My Idaho CNP and the capital expenditure request. You would not upload that in the financial area. That's only for the CAP, the corrective action. And then make sure if you are going to put in a capital expenditure request, if you're intending to spend the money in this school year, you need to make sure you put it into the school year 22-23. When you open My Idaho CNP right now, because renewal is open, it defaults to the 23-24. So please be mindful of that. And when you're putting in your capital expenditure request, make sure you choose the right year. And if you are going to be expending the money in 23-24, that's okay. Just let me know that ahead of time. And that's it. Thank you.
So next we will chat about the non-program food revenue tool. So it is very important that you know what a non-program food is, and you must be familiar with the non-program food items that you are purchasing and selling in order to know which tool is used to set your prices. So a non-program food is any food or beverage that is not part of a reimbursable meal. The Idaho 1-week non-program food revenue tool is located in download forms. This tool calculates the cost of all menu items and compares it with the revenue of each menu for a period of 1 week. SFAs are required to complete this tool annually. The SA, or the state agency, recommends that you select a week to analyze now so that you have completed documentation on file for this school year. Non-program food revenue compliance is reviewed during the administrative review. So we will be checking this if we come out for an administrative review. So please make sure that you have this documentation on file. If the SFA sells only milk and adult meals as non-program foods, the alternate assessment can be completed, and the school year 22-23 alternate assessment is located in download forms, and a copy should be completed and retained for records. This assessment is updated each year to reflect current pricing. A new tool will be available in July for the new school year. And just a reminder that reimbursable student meals are exempt from sales tax, but all non-program foods must include Idaho sales tax. So please keep that in mind when you are pricing your non-program foods. And next we will just have a little reminder about NSLP annual mandatory training. So a full day of NSLP annual mandatory training will be held in person at these locations on these dates on the screen. Please note that there will not be an annual training held in conjunction with the ISNA conference this summer. Training is mandatory for the food service director, and up to 2 people for each district are allowed at the training. And however, based on district size, the state agency has contacted specific districts to grant an exception for an additional staff member to attend. And we will also have a separate NSLP training for RCCIs that will be held in person at these locations and dates. Okay, and next is TJ.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Cambria. We'll go ahead and discuss just a couple of quick things for USDA foods. So first, I wanted to go ahead and remind everyone that we are closing out. If you could just flip the slide for me, Cambria. We're going to close out school year 22-23. Congratulations. I think we're almost there. So just a few reminders. Anyone that actually allocated funds to DoD for use in their NSLP programs needs to ensure that they finalize all spending by June 30th, 2023, which means you need to make sure that you put any orders that you plan to bring into your program in a week before that date, probably a little bit sooner if your order and delivery period is sooner than that. I have had a few school districts that have been willing to relinquish some of their funds. So we're getting some more funds to schools that can use those. So if for some reason you project that you won't be able to use the rest of your NSLP budget and you haven't already notified me of that, please do so that we can make sure it gets in the hands of schools that can use it. It is a use it or lose it program. So we want to make sure that gets out as produce for schools. And then please, 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 we still have a lot of product in the warehouse. And I understand participation may have been down in your district, but at the end of the day, we do pay for a state contracted warehouse, and we are supposed to remove all of our foods by the end of the school year. So please do your very, very best to make sure that all of your direct delivered USDA foods, those are your number 10 cans of produce, or maybe the frozen diced chicken, whatever you have, look in the inventory release software system under your USDA live report. And if it is sitting in your inventory, make sure it gets on order so it comes to your district by the end of the school year. And then finally, I wanted to give you some best practice reminders. Make sure that you run your entitlement bonus summary report for program year 23. The reason you want to do that is to see how successful were you in actually utilizing your full available entitlement. It's only if you pay attention to that data that you know whether or not you're going to be able to do a better job next year. So once you've pulled that report, the next thing you'd want to do is change the program year to 2024 and run your entitlement bonus summary report. Now, this report is going to be lacking some information. What it will show you is what your actual estimated available entitlement for the coming year is, but keep in mind there will be some adjustments to those values. First of all, the per meal rate will be adjusted in July. And for the first time since I've been part of this program, USDA is projecting the rate will go down. So what does that mean to you? That means that what you already spent on USDA foods, you didn't have as much money as perhaps you thought you had. So it's important to look at that. Additionally, you'll be able to determine what your ending balance is, because as adjustments take hold between the per meal rate in July and then the meal counts, which will be adjusted in November, you need to be paying attention to where you were and then what your truth is later on in the year. and then what you can do about your truth. You may see that the state agency may have to cancel some truckloads of products if we as a state find that we are overspent on entitlement. So I just want you to be aware of what you did last year, what your plan looks like this year moving forward, and then how that may change. So just make sure you're aware of it and analyze your own results. And then next slide, please. This is just a reminder that we do have a very dedicated USDA Foods training opportunity coming up at the ISME conference. And we hope that you will join us. This is going to be an 8-hour, it's a lot of time, deep dive into all things USDA foods. So who should come to this pre-conference? New food service directors, absolutely. We are going to cover everything from the basics all the way through the really interesting nuances of the USDA Foods program. If you're a near new food service director and you think you understand, but there's still some questions around the USDA Foods, and the reason it's so important is keep in mind that 20%, that's about how much your entitlement is. 20% of all of the foods served on your tray should equal USDA foods. If you're not utilizing your full entitlement, your meals are costing you 20% more than they should. And that's your bottom line. This is a financial proposition. Also, any food service directors that are struggling, maybe you think you had a grip on it, and then you find through your analysis of what you've done in the past or how you plan for this year isn't what you thought. We'd encourage you to participate. And then also for those of you, oh man, what have I done now by saying yes to being a food service director? This is going to help you understand that there are tools and resources in place to help you be a successful food service director. And you may be an experienced food service director. There's not one of us in this Zoom room today that can't learn more about how we can be successful in our role and responsibility for utilizing all resources. So I encourage you to participate in that pre-con. I promise you it will be worth it. 8 hours of great information, and we will have fun. And finally, before I turn the time over to, I believe we have Farm to School program coming up next. I did want to let those of you on this meeting know that there will be no advisory council meeting today. I have sent out a cancellation, but I just want to make sure that everyone is aware. We are going to bypass that because the next information you'll receive will be a broadcast email to the entire recipient agencies of Idaho. So thank you for your time and have a great day.
And since Pamela's not here, the only thing that I could see that she wanted to let everybody know for Farm to School is what is in season to put on your menus this month. So in April, we have apples, asparagus. You could put edible flowers. We have fresh herbs and salads, onions and potatoes every month of the year. So with that, we have questions that have been answered throughout the webinar by Jax. Thank you very much, Jax. And I will let everybody know what the questions are and the answers in case you weren't watching. So is the webinar being recorded so we're able to watch later? And yes, it is. And Jax answered, besides getting our board approval, is there anything else that needs to be done when raising our lunch price more than 5%? The answer is it requires notifying the public by newspaper as defined by Idaho Code Section 60-106. Or 3 public meetings held in different locations within the district boundary, or single mailing notice to all district residents. Okay, is there a specific week to use for the non-program food revenue tool? That one. Oh, you should select a week that most accurately reflects a standard normal week of operations. Next question, do I need to attend both the NSLP and RCCI training if I'm an RCCI? And since they are an RCCI, they only need to attend RCCI annual training. And TJ, this one is for you. How do we run entitlement bonus summary report?
Hi, Lynda. Thank you. I did respond to Alan, just to let you know that there is a WebSCM user guide on the USDA Foods and Processing webpage. I did provide the link for that. The user guide show you every aspect of operating reports in WebSCM.
Thanks, TJ.
You bet.
And a question on how they sign up for the boot camp. She did say register for USDA Foods Camp, USDA Foods Boot Camp at idahosna.org. And that would be the end of the questions typed in. Does anybody else have any questions? RCCI, what does that stand for? It's a residential child care institution or a juvenile detention center. Those are RCCIs.
And I don't have a question. This is Kat, but TJ, can you hop back on? I think that it's still good practice to define between the fresh fruit and vegetable program and the DOD fresh fruit and vegetable program.
Sure. Thanks for that, Kat. Yes, please make sure that you understand that if you allocated entitlement, so your USDA Foods entitlement can go to.
Thanks for calling me because God, I was in a Zoom class.
Oops, thank you, Lisa, for I was like, wait, we have some input here. Make sure that you only use your USDA Foods entitlement for DOD produce that is used in your school meal service programs. You may not order produce from DOD and serve it in the fresh fruit and vegetable program, because the fresh fruit and vegetable program is a grant. It is a competitive grant. So that would essentially mean that you are double dipping. If you buy produce with entitlement and receive funds through the FFVP program, that produce is paid for twice over. So you must procure your fresh fruits and vegetables for the FFVP grant program commercially, not through DOD. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you, TJ. And one final question, and I'm sorry, I'm going to put Jax or Cambria on the spot for this one. It says boot camp, can't make the date. Will there be an opportunity to get the information provided?
And wondering, Lynda, if that's the USDA Foods Boot Camp that April is referencing. And yes, it is. Okay, great. Thanks for letting us know that that was what you're asking about, April. And it is going to be a lot of hands-on discussion. So we could provide the PowerPoint presentations. I'm just not sure that it's going to give everything you need, but we would be happy to do that. And because it is 8 hours and we are just really limited, the only other opportunities for USDA Foods trainings are, it is touched on in the National School Lunch mandatory trainings, but it's a very, very brief overview as opposed to the boot camp.
I don't see any other questions. Oh, actually, I just saw 2 chat bubbles come in, but I can't see the chat. Lynda, are there any other questions or are we good?
There's one more. What is the
Okay.
boot camp date, please? TJ,
June
what's the
20th. It is a pre-con at the ISNA conference.
So I believe that's June 20th.
Yes,
Correct.
that is correct, I believe.
Thank you, Angie, for confirming.
No further questions, Cambria.
Perfect. So on our screen, we have our contact information. If you guys have any other questions, please reach out to any of us, phone or email, and we will be happy to assist you in any way that we can. And with that, I believe that we will conclude this month's webinar. So thank you all for joining us this morning, and I'll give you your morning back.